And I think we should be live on Twitch and YouTube. Let's see. Yes, we are for 30 seconds already. Fantastic. Cool. So basically, just finished lunch. Feeling a little bit, a little bit well fed and tired after some good food. Hey, James, what's up, bro? How you doing, dog? I see you on Twitch now. Yes, we're back. Post lunch, carry on the sprite development. Kind of prepared a little bit by finishing off the fire slime. Which means we just have to do the earth slime, and then we've got the main slimes. And then I thought we could do sprite of the day, because that'll be a new creative process, and then we can uh, animate a fairy, and then maybe just put the slimes and the fairies into the game, because then it's nice to walk around the game and actually see the work live. And I'm speaking a little bit softer, so tell me if the audio is fine, simply because Hannah and Marguerite are sleeping. So maybe if the audio is not the best, I can turn the volume, I can turn the capture rate up a bit, so then it's easier to hear me, but let me know. First time chat from Chosen Code. Just making sure all of this is working and I can hear everything through my headphones. Doing a little testy test. Okay, that sounds good. I'm rather pleased with that, and let's jump into it. Audio is good, fantastic. I'm so chuffed with the noise suppression, like the kind of static is gone, so that's a big win for me. Okay, cool. So these are the earth slimes. I absolutely love their eyebrows, and gotta get this into here, and I should already have all the other slimes set up. So go to my enemies in Unity, so I'll just show what I'm looking at. We have enemy animations, and we should have the slimes here. We'll change the import settings in a moment, and then we are going to first put some wonderfully thick eyebrows on our earthy boy. So first let's get the color. Fire order done. So the kind of lore is that the normal slime is actually the native creature, and it is the elemental slimes gain their various elemental differences as a byproduct of consuming psychic power that lays dormant in the various areas that they are. And I think we're also going to be bringing in elemental attack types more seriously into the game this time compared to Damascus. Like, we had the elemental attacks, but they didn't really mean anything. So I think this time we're going to focus on giving them some meaning. What we're kind of thinking is like air attacks push you back, uh, water attacks might do extra damage to fire creatures. I want to do like a brambles attack that slows people down, and then Win and I have already spoken about we want to do Quagmire, which is like summoning a muddy pool underneath someone to turn their run off and decrease their movement speed, and possibly stick them for a tick or two. So I think that's pretty cool. Awesome. And I think that is our final slime. Ooh, I forgot to show what I was doing. Damn. Hey, František, how you doing, man? So I'm doing fantastic. Just had lunch. We had some Greek meze platter, so that was delicious. And now I'm sitting fat and happy animating some slimes on a relaxing Saturday afternoon. And I do believe we have all of our slimes now. So we go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. So we'll just change the input settings here. Let's go with sprite. There we go. So that's all set up now. I want to do sprite of the day because I had a kind of thought that I wanted to play with inspiration wise, and then I wanted to jump onto what was the word, animating a fairy. I think it's very important I animate this fairy, exceptionally important. I don't think you can I don't think one can live life with unanimated fairies. So without further ado, we're going to start by setting up a new canvas. All of my one block creatures sit on a 24 by 24. I'm a big believer in artistic constraints as a mechanism of like creative growth. And I can lecture on about this sort of stuff for hours if I wanted to, but I'll save everyone the detail. But yeah, I had this idea that I wanted to play with for today's daily sprite. And for anyone who doesn't know, I do a sprite once a day. Just not necessarily everything's going to get into the game, but the idea is if you can keep the kind of creative juices churning, 9 times out of 10, just doing it every single day is gonna eventually amount to some amount of sprites that do make it into the game. And then, when and I spoke, we're just gonna lay all sprites out, and then that's gonna help us choose which characters are gonna be part of which quests and that sort of stuff. Because we kind of know where we want to go with certain quests, but we don't necessarily know which specific NPC is playing a role. So this allows us to develop characters independently of our quest system, and then we can kind of connect the dots. And it's probably mimicking the Gardner style of writing, in terms of creative writing, but doing it with video game characters. Cool. So what was the idea I had? So I had this idea of a dude in e-copper armor. Alright, he's gonna have this crazy helmet and a massive sword. And that's where it starts. I wanted just to do something different with the helmet design. I was a little bit like inspired by the crazy mask shapes in Samurai Jack with like Aku and that, and I just thought, I want a character who's got a kind of crazy helmet design. That's a little bit unusual. So this is kind of where we're getting it from. And the idea is like in the game, the reason for this helmet is intimidation factor, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Okay, maybe just fix some of the tones here. Oops. Oops. There we go. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to give this guy an e-copper pauldron. So I do believe I've got a few pauldrons in game already. So I'm just going to run and find one of those, and then I can kind of get my pauldrons in order. Uh, so my sprite work folder, I should have a Roman, and he was a pauldron. Fantastic. There we go. There's my Roman. Here's his pauldron. I do actually think Vasquez has the best one. Yeah, maybe I want like Vasquez's style one. So check. This is cool. Firstly, this looks like it is bigger than 24 by 24. Yeah, fix that problem. Cool. So, kind of want this. Brilliant. Now his, I think, is going to be a different color. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably make it out of e-copper. And then if we do this, maybe he's going to wear a black top underneath. Yeah, I think we're going to stick with the red as the primary accenter. And then I think for the secondary component, I think it makes sense that it would be made out of plywood. So you would have this kind of green. Hold on. Yeah, the dark green goes there. Yeah, it'd be more like probably something like this. I don't know if that reads well. I'm gonna go with the gold. Cool. So this is pauldron. I'm gonna grab some of this brown color from the Roman, and I'm gonna kind of pull the leather strap that this person is using to hold this kind of defensive piece on, and then they're gonna have a massive sword. So, and I wanted the blade to go up at least, yeah, 3 times. Hell yeah. Okay, this is what I wanted. And I suppose we can have him hold it, because that, do this. Great. Nope. Fantastic. Okay, we're getting somewhere. And then, like, there's something about me was like, he has. So, this is the idea of this character. He's like a martial warrior. He prides himself on his skill with his sword. He's wearing a ceremonial helmet. So, the helmet is got religious connotations beyond its fighting prowess. It's just like, from a stat perspective, it's probably an e-copper helmet. His blade is a modified katana, so I think it's like a great sword, Japanese greatsword most likely. And then I wanted to give him possibly a defensive, like a skirt or a robe bottom, implying that he's very confident in his ability to guard his top half using his sword and his pauldron, making him more agile. But then he's actually defending his legs consciously. So that was kind of the thought. And then in terms of the two ideas I had for the legs, is like, the one idea was I wanted to go for like thick shin guard type things. I'm not sure how weird those will look. And the other option I thought was to go a little bit more traditional for a type of skirt, robe, that's possibly going all the way down. Which do you think's better, James? Should I go for a skirt, or should I go for like shin guards? What do you think, bro? I'll let you choose. Or like a robe, like a Ishin from Sekiro. Celtic skirt. Okay, hell yeah. Well, I think in that sense he's probably going to be barefoot, right? You know, let's make it even weirder. You know what, you've given me exactly what I needed with that, James. Okay. Because we're going with Demon Continent attire. Oh yeah. I'm not too sure about the purple, but I think I like the shape. Something like that shape-wise. Possibly needs to be something this belt up here, I think. Pants definitely look weird right now. um, Blue, curve that off, close that up like that, like this, this. Hmm. Just trying to get the shape. The cells are pretty off the cults are pretty off the wall. Yeah. Well, let me see what a cultic good actually looks like. Okay, yeah. I mean, blue and green. That'd be interesting to get those colors in. Um, a sort of a darker green. I mean, it kind of gets there, right? This one mad-looking warrior. I'm not sure. Yes, I'm not sure about the green and blue. Like, I like the idea of a green and blue cultic skirt, but I'm not sure uh, if this is necessarily working with the red top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to style it in orange and red tones and see what we get out of that. Hmm. Don't know. I'm not happy yet. This is moving in the direction that I want. Um, and maybe we just do something like this, or even this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it simple. Ceremonial orange, similar concept, but I think let's save the cultic skirt for someone wielding something Damascus that'll match the blues and kind of like uh, give a better impression there. And I think the next thing we can do is we can probably take a little bit, maybe we go back to this. Does he feel more intimidating with his shirt off? it's a it's a pixel shirt off, so maybe you can imagine that he's muscly. I think so. Let's do this. I quite like him. What shall we name him? I think we're gonna call him the Wandering Ronin, as a reference to Rogue Samurai from the Shidoku Jedi period. So, excuse me. Excellent. And one more time to desktop. Brilliant. So that is our sprite of the day. Rather pleased with that one, to be totally honest. I think he came out better than expected. Thanks for the collaborative design there, James. Always fun to get a little bit out of it. Um, and let's see what I'm going to do now. We are going to just quickly post this daily sprite to the Discord. And then we're going to animate a fairy. I'm actually very excited to animate the fairy. It's what I've been looking forward to the most. I'm sure I exported this to my desktop. Oh no, this is not 32 by 32. Um, this is 24 by 24. Yeah. Oh, my bad. I'm very silly. That's because I didn't have the export settings, import settings on my. I don't have the correct import settings Unity side. Sorted that out real quick. And I was pretty sure I exported this big, but I'll just do this in the same folder and then I'll just move it. Because sometimes the sprite gets a bit weird about that. Okay, there we go. Put that on the desktop. Fantastic. So the real question is, should this guy be a boss? Maybe. It looks cool enough. Maybe he can be a mid-game boss and he drops like a slightly better E-Copper helm. Yeah, giving boss vibes for sure. 100%. Okay, sweet. Let's get a fairy up in here. Which fairy are we gonna do first? Fairy Queen doesn't even have her wings out. No way. I think we'll do the classically fairy. All of these fairies are very fairy. Very fairy indeed. Okay, so this is interesting. The reason I wanted to animate the fairies is I want to make them float. So part of me already sees that I'm going to be doing some reductions. First, let's just clear all of my canvases because I'm done with all of these. Including this one, this one. Okay. What are we going to do? We're going to do an idle animation, a movement animation, and then we're going to do I'm just thinking about this. We're going to do an idle animation, we're going to do move animation, we're going to do attack animation. I'm wondering, because the fairies fly to you, their legs are not going to move, so that wings should only move when they fly towards you. And we'll just have them bob up and down when they idle. And maybe have like a slight flutter in the wings. Floating idle animation will be dope. Yeah, I don't want to flap the wings aggressively in the idle. I think that's better for the movement. So let's do the first one. Let's just shorten these legs here. She's a big girl. And then we're going to do this. We're going to keep our normal pattern that we do for our idles. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're wondering why the idle animations are patterned, it's actually got to do with tick rates. Because if you allow something to have a stable pattern in a tick-based game, the players can actually use that as a mechanism to see like what the next thing they need to do is, or how to measure the kind of flow of the game. Cool. So now we're going to take this down. So now if you do this, we have the normal kind of like 1 pixel bob that all of the idle animations have. Now here's the kicker. We're going to then offset the bob. So this is happening normally on frames 4. So we're going to offset it by 1, and we're going to do 2 overlaying things. So we're going to do this. We're going to go down a pixel, and then this one's down a pixel, and this goes up, up, up. And then what you should have is the idle as well as the float because of the 3x3 offset. And yeah, and then you get this kind of satisfying looping float on the fairies. I'm pretty happy with that. Definitely gives them a little bit more motion than the standard idle, and allows us to actually move the fairy across the kind of play space. Cool. So now we're going to take that same movement pattern and we're going to translate it into moving with the wings now. So I'm just going to get myself a copy of every frame. Got a cool flutter vibe. Thanks, man. Yeah. That is indeed the goal. So now if I just play, it should loop twice, yeah? And then here's our second loop. So we're going to set this as the loop frame now. And now all we're going to do here is we're going to think about where we want the wings. So I want 2 frames of the wings being at the bottom, 2 frames of it moving down, and 2 frames of it moving up. So 1, 2, and then it should be in bottom position. So here, you know, we can keep it where we want. And what we'll just do is we'll grab this primary color, and then we'll just kind of delete the original wings. You know, get a general feel for what we want to do, and then we'll worry about the detail in a second. Is there enough mass to these wings? 1, 2, and 3. Have this kind of full downswing. So that one was easy. And the second wing will kind of have, you know, it like technically would be almost behind. So what I will, maybe we'll do it like this. Yeah, like it's kind of, in a way, it's like, so I'll just have them overlap. It's fine. 2, 3. So then here we can do this. Delete this frame. Move all of this down 1. Whoops. Oof. Slowly catch the monkey, as we say in Limpopo. So, okay, so we got that. I think I'm like fairly pleased with this. And then again, we just kind of copy this structure that we have. And then we can paste that there, or actually undo. First, let's just erase. Oops. Always do that, so funny. I'm sure I just need to learn the hotkey. What is the hotkey for pencil? B, okay. Just remember that. Okay. So delete the original wings, paste in the new set, and again we'll do the outlining last, and then yeah, that is our, so now already you can kind of see the wings are working perfectly. Like, I'm rather pleased with that. I'm also going to flip this entire sprite because they're supposed to face that direction, and I think because the weapon attack is going to go in that direction, we're probably going to do, this is definitely a psychic character. I mean, it's a fairy. It's definitely going to take over your mind and corrupt you with fey energy, which will be very pink. And I'm going to, I think I want to flip every frame. But before I do that, I'm going to go to the bathroom and I will be right back. Maybe add a glint in the wing animation. Okay. So by glint, I'm assuming you're meaning a little bit of like flap. So what I'll do is let's first do the outline. Also, I'm back. Hello. Uh, let's first do the outline. Delete these kind of unused pixels up here. Get a bit of zoom. I see some invisible pixels. I'm just going to do a test. Okay, that's fine. Hey, Paul, what's up, bro? Paul and James in the chat, dude. It's like a Stanford reunion. What is this, a crossover episode? Son of a bitch, I'm in. Dojis never go too far. Okay, I like that. So now we can do this. 1, 2, 3. So in this moment, this is when James wants a little. This feels very fairy, so I think it's appropriate. So now look. Maybe a little bit more downpull on that. Hell yeah. Cool, and then to showcase the entire animation, well, we'll just start here. We got our idle, and then we have our flying. And now I just want to, and I hope there's a hotkey for this, flip every frame. Rotate canvas, flip horizontal. Okay, that's excellent. Why is that made the fairy look retarded? That's not really what I wanted. I think I know why. It's because her face, like, faces the wrong direction. Uh, hmm. This doesn't make sense. So, was her face facing the right direction previously? I suppose there we can keep the wings, maybe? Or am I just tripping myself out now? Okay, no, she's looking in that direction. So I suppose casting a spell in that direction, she's just like flapping her wings in your direction. Fair enough. Does seem weird though. It does feel like the wings should maybe move the hair. I think I'm gonna move the hair. So let's try this. Sprite, rotate canvas, flip the canvas horizontal. Let's see if we can fix it by moving her hair and her eyes. So we're gonna do that. This, this, and then maybe not, maybe. So is this better? Is this better than an unflipped dat? Probably. Hmm. I don't know. The wings do feel better. Hello, Hannah. Okay, you're saying move the fringe as well. Whoops. Something like that. Mm, I mean, probably. Well, now we're locked in. Well, nope, nope. There we go. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm actually really happy with that change. I know it seemed weird, but now her wings are going to always face away from the player because the player is always in this block, if you think about it that way, because the code will flip the sprite and always make sure that it faces the player. So I kind of wanted to get the animation working where it's like they were looking at the player in the previous animation, which is correct from that perspective, but the wings were in between the character and the player. And I also understand it's a psychic character, so like technically it could have its wings in between you and there, and it wouldn't affect the attack because it's a brain attack. However, it feels like that would be a weak thing. Like it feels like if you were a fairy and you were kind of putting your wings in harm's way, that's not the smartest thing to do, especially if you're fighting someone with a sword and they just like slash at the wing and cut it. So these are the very real things I think about. Whether a fairy's wing is going to get cut off in sword fights. Uh, don't quit your day job, Dom. So now I need to do an attack, and that's going to give us a lot of information. And I think we agreed that it's going to be a Fey attack, and I'm going to have to speak to Win about making that a type of damage. I also definitely want to make Shadow a type of damage and have like a pitch black, absorptive, funky goop. I think a good Shadow goop is always a good quality in a fantasy. Shadow is necessary, 100%. Cool, so we're going to copy our base movement on the fairy. Do you have a good nap, Marge? And how's Hannah doing? Hmm. Okay. Sweet. So this can be attack animation, then we want to put a second run animation in as per the standard convention, which maybe I'm just going to end up taking all these animations out, or maybe I'm going to find a reason that I really needed to put a third animation slot into every texture, and then I'm going to thank myself. So yeah, I think you can never know. Yeah, dude, I also think with bloom, because we've got bloom on all of our visual effects now, I think if we add a shadow-based um, system, then you don't give any bloom to that. So you also get this absence of light quality to your shadow in-game effects. So I think that that's also pretty cool. Uh, where were we? We were getting this. Okay, we're missing a frame. We're missing this frame. Let's see this from the beginning. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's fine as well. Okay, cool. So now we are going to set up a standard psychic attack. This one is going to form from the mind's eye. So I'm going to explain a little bit of my process of doing a kind of attack animation when it's psychic. So I'm going to get the general shape with one color tone, and then I'm going to add the detail after that to the actual animation. And then what I'm trying to do with a psychic attack, or specifically a psychic fairy-based attack, is I think we're going to go for light pink colors, and then I want to do like a spiral motif. So the idea is that the first thing that happens is kind of a little bit of energy forms. So that's these 3 marks. The next thing I want to do is every time I'm going to copy this kind of base layer. So now here's your energy, and these points are going to grow out. These, I'm going to do some intersecting colors in there as well. 2, 3, and then now 1, 2, 3. Usually what we do is we do the attack on 4, the dissipation on 5, and then everything concludes on 6. So this would be the actual attack, so the height of this pattern. So this kind of curly pattern, oops, we're gonna maximize, and then like this. I think what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna put like that, and these are also gonna kind of be growing out. And then here, it's going to be kind of the fragments of it in the air left over. That will then dissipate completely. So your general attack, yeah, do Dark Willow from Dodo. Fantastic. Yeah, so the general attack is this kind of spirally pinky blaze. Now you must remember, when I put this in game, we're going to add a wonderful emission to it. So I think what we'll do is we'll place the fairy first so we can see the emission. And now the next thing we're going to do is, I've set these initial colors, but now we're going to add some variation into the attack so that this warbly pinky energy has a kind of quality to it. That, and again, a great way to do this is you color drop this one, and you have your new color, and you can just kind of just insert bits. And maybe when it heightens, it's like, wow, these are like a few lighter bits as well. And then it dissipates. And then the dissipation is always, you know, fantastic. So now I'm quite happy with that. can zoom in a bit. Everyone can see. I'm quite happy with that. As you can see, we're getting this kind of spiral animation coming out, and then once the emissive is in, I think everyone's going to see the vision. And then we just need to do death on this fairy, and then we've got everything we need from our fairy. And then we can, I think we'll just add it to the game straight, because I can show that process. That's always a fun process to show. And then we can go and take a little walk and go and harass some fairies, which is probably not something you should say, probably not something you should do, but they're pixel fairies, and, you know, they're not real. So, I don't think there's harm and foul in that. And they carry gold. Cool. Sweet. Let us kill a fairy. Unalive a fairy? So, as you know, first frame's free. Second frame, they become ghosts. I mean, I kind of like being able to see the eyes in this case. I think that makes sense. And then we slowly disintegrate it. Excellent. Well, James, have you seen the new Mount Crief? Let me actually show you. So, fun fact to everyone in chat, this mountain is actually named after James. So, first of all, welcome to 2.5D Split City. Fantastic ocean views. Obviously very expensive real estate. It's just how it is with ocean views. What can you do? You know, homes are only things that corporations should own, apparently. And over here is the one, the only Mount Crief, as well as some angry cactuses who will shoot me if I get too close. Let's throw a grenade. Oops. There we go. Oh, I missed. I'm on my low accuracy count. No. Ha! 45! I really need to balance these grenades. That is too strong. So check here, bro. This is Mount Crief. This is your namesake in 3D. And I gotta admit, bro, the height adds a lot to the overall feeling of this town. Yeah, dude, the perspective is my favorite. I particularly enjoy the view on this side. And obviously here you can see my mistakes. Haha. But we can come up here. We can run around here. And I love this little view at the back where you can see all the mountains. You can kind of see the desert and Cactoria in the distance. And you have this, and maybe I can zoom out a bit more. You can kind of see the topology. Yeah, dude, really happy with it. Yeah, bro, wait until it's filled with enemies. Like, actually, let me show you Three River Fort. So this is an act, like, Mount Crief feels like, well, that's just got a couple of slimes. Let me show you what a live actually feels like. And then I can actually show the audience and everyone watching a little bit of what I was talking about with the emission stuff, because that is definitely in place with the frog mages. And actually, we can test out our AOE grenades on some froggos. I know my mom would appreciate that. She's not a fan of the amphibious types. Also, James, what do you think of these little quick bars up here for like health and stuff? And check the minimap. Ah, Love the minimap. Always talk about the minimap. I also think I'm like angry at myself because of how simple this minimap solution was compared to like everything we did in the past, and I'm just like, it's so much better. So if you check here, here we have a whole bunch of froggies. Yeah, bro, dude, the gameplay much more fluid than original Damascus and everything. And check, dude. So these are all the frogs in Three River. As you can see, this is what a kind of populated area looks like. And if we go in here, we can actually see them. Oh my soul, look how many have gotten stuck in the wall. This is gonna be amazing for AOE. I didn't even think about it. Oh my. Grenade. And I missed. I missed again. No, come on. Really? What about a poison grenade? There we go. Ha. Check it. So, yeah, this is kind of great for AoE. Can I come here so I can hit more of them? I can. Okay, fantastic. So if I throw a grenade in there, if I get this guy, it's going to hit all three. Um, oh, that's brilliant. And let me use a large grenade just for damage. Okay, very cool. This is actually great training. I think people are going to come and kill these guys if they hide in the wall like this. Get nuked, yeah. I think we want to make the first mega rare of the game a mini nuke launcher. Hello, Hannah. You want Lego? Mommy has your Lego. So yeah, this is the Frog Village. It is one of my favorite spots, for obvious reasons beyond the amount of frogs you can mess with. But what I want to show you is this. So first of all, I'm sure you can see the bloom on the poison, but check the fire attack that this guy is going to routine. Ooh, he died. I'm too strong. Okay, so let's not poison him so that I can highlight the fire attack. And the fire attack shows the, what's the word? It shows what's going to happen with our pink fairy, and then we'll put the fairy in the game. Cool. Yeah. So check how that looks on the character and from this character. So probably not going to have a, maybe I should probably add an on player effect that plays when the fairy hits you. But yeah. Probably will have to move around some data structures to make that easy, because I'll put the whatever the effect that has to play on the player character, I'll put that onto the enemy, and then I can pull the effects dynamically from the enemies, and that way each enemy can have a unique effect, and this guy can do fire, and then the fairy can do her like pink fey attack. Yeah, dude, capes with the missions, weapons with the missions, like again, check the grenades. I've given the grenades a subtle emission on their on the fuse. So there's a very subtle glow on the fuse on the grenades there. And then when you throw the grenades as well, there's an emission on the fuse as they're traveling through the air. So rather pleased with all of that. Anyway, just got sidetracked showing you Mount Krief. Let's jump back into getting this fairy done. So if I'm not mistaken, I think we actually have every animation. Brilliant. Okay. So now we can just export this, and we're going to call this just call this fairy sheet. That's fine. So as you can see, this will just drop it here. In Unity, we now have the sheet. I'm just going to put this in my enemy animations. So why did I put it in the folder? I have written a system of code that will automatically select these animation files and assign them everywhere they need to be assigned, because they are on the enemy object, but then JSON has to reference them, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all automatic, and it's all done by the name, and it's very helpful. Okay, cool. So now that we have the fairy sprite sheet, I do realize something. We need to change their normal sprite. So that is this one. So what we're gonna do, we'll just go back here, if you recall, and we'll just delete all these frames. Oh, cannot delete them all. Delete frame, delete selection. Now, Alt C. There we go. Okay, this is the new fairy because we changed the hair. So we save it. Fantastic. Now we can jump back to Unity. And we can go to our monster generator, which is called enemy generator. And the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our fairy is on the list. This is the list. Just lift this up a little bit. There we go. Not bad. There we go. Cool. So now that the fairy is on the list, I also want to grab the old JSON file. So I'm going to go to my old Damascus project. I'm going to go to JSON's enemy objects. Oh no, I don't have JSON files for this. Okay, so everyone can see this then. So check out. So I'm going to open the old Damascus project because it's going to have data on the fairy enemy. We're going to fill in that data, and then once we've done that, we're actually going to assign a pixel to that and generate the enemy locations, and that should put it in the game. So that's going to be exciting, and that should happen in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So anyway, so this is the old game. First thing we're going to do here is if I type in fairy, there we go. Here are the stats. And now we can use these stats when we are assembling our new one. I'm just going to pull this off screen. Just Lego. Okay, cool. So I now have the stats of the fairy, which are, damn. Here are the fairy stats within the old project. And I've just got a million things on screen, so I'm kind of figuring out where I'm at. So here's our enemy generator. There you go. Automatically creates the enemy ID and a lot of our main information. This is going to be fairy. A creature from the Fey realm. I should do well to be careful. So, fairies have got... Ooh, they're quite strong. 75 psychic, 55 accuracy, 65 defense. Give you 128 experience, level 64. They are not aggressive. We'll make their aggro range 6, attack range 8, attack speed 4. Ranging and strength is 1, and they have 64 health. We're gonna go 50, 50, 15, 25, 15, 45, 25. And their combat style is psychic. Fantastic. Too easy for a G. Yeah, so I think that's everything. I'm just trying to go through it in my head, but I think I just hit create. And then that should generate all the files. So if I go to the files, are you okay, Hannah? Okay, where are you taking your steppies? We have an extremely willful 2-year-old. She's not even supposed to be able to build Lego because she's only 2. But not only does she love it, but she finds where the step ladders are and drags them so that she can climb excessive heights to grab the Lego, which is amazing. So fun, really, truly. Lol. 99 wool, yes. Sweet, so now we have our fairy JSON. We should also have a fairy prefab over here. We do. The fairy prefab's missing 1 or 2 things. I do think it does have the correct definition and data. It does. We didn't get our animation texture. Why is that? Did we remember to rename it? No, we didn't. So this is what I was talking about names. Now if I just rename this fairy over here, and then this is the beauty of the system, and this is why we've designed the system like this. It's so that, again, you can make changes without being a coder. So if I can show the full screen, I can now type fairy, load the fairy, it'll load all of my data, and I can just click create. And what that's going to do is, you'll remember there was a prefab that was missing a texture assignment. Because we've corrected the name and re-hit the create button, it's going to automatically assign that to our prefab. This is kind of a way to ensure that nothing is ever out of date and that we're never in a situation where you don't know what's cooking. So, and of course it's not working. Why is it not working? Oh, because it doesn't work for... I forgot this completely. Okay, so I'm a fool. Forget everything I said. What I was describing was a system that is in place for the items and automatically does everything for the items according to name. For the enemies, it does actually handle everything according to name, so I did have to rename that fairy, but I don't have to actually assign the animation textures to the definition because the animations aren't used on the server side, they're only a client-side thing, so I just have to set the materials. So we'll do that quickly. And if we look at our kind of enemy, everything is set except this main fairy texture. Are you okay, Hannah? Okay, so what I have to do is I have to assign the materials. So if I go to materials over here, I've got enemy materials, we've got all our kind of slimes and everything. So this is also where we're going to create our emission, and we can kind of see the Fey Magic. Fey Magic corrupted my stream, lol. Really? Let me check the bitrate. Oh, crazy, 6 viewers. Hello to everyone who is watching at the moment. Please follow if you can. Follows help a lot. They go a long way. Really appreciate it. So what did I want to do? I wanted to... let's think about this. We want to create the emission that we're going to use in our texture, and we want to create the texture. I think we will just copy this cultist. I'm going to rename this fairy. We can grab the base fairy mat here. And what we want next is the emission mat. So here, these are inside enemy animations. We have an emissive folder. Here's our fairy. I'm going to duplicate the fairy, put them in the emission, rename this fairy underscore emission, and then we're going to open this in a sprite, and we're going to make sure that everything that isn't emissive is the correct color, which is black. So go here and oops, just grab paint bucket and start erasing parts of what's cooking. Fantastic. So here you can actually now see the shape of the emissive Fey magic stream. And now we can just save that. We go back to Unity. We now have a material over here for the fairy that has an emission map, and now we can select the correct emission map. And let's just make sure this has the correct, it does, import settings. And now the final step is that this fairy material gets assigned. There we go. And there you can actually see the kind of brightness of the attack already on this sheet. We need to make sure that our sprite sheet animator is correctly set, so it should be 6x5. 6x5, okay. Idle walk attack. Brilliant. I think that's everything for the main fairy. And now we're going to do placement of the enemy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring this back into frame. And we are already in a patrol routes scene. So if we just type in fairy, we can see every normal fairy on the map. There are 10. Yep. And they are all kind of clustered here at the snowy lands, in the thick forest, and then up there. So we're going to do exactly that. And we're going to put our fairy spawns in the main game. The way we do this is we do this by choosing a hex code that represents them, and then using the hex code in our placement map. So you'll see all the way down here, I have got a thing called enemy placement. Open this. There we go. So in this, you can see there are, oh, let me change sprite view. In this, you can see there is green and blue and various colors. These represent different enemies at different times. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a color for the fairies now. I'm probably going to go with a pink. I'm also just going to open my sheet, which is going to have all of my hex codes. Cool. So for enemy placement, I think we'll go with kind of a light pink for the fairy. This color kind of makes sense to me. Grab the hex code, and then we can pop this into the sheet. And we're going to paste this here, and we're going to call this a fairy. And then we're going to come back to our sheet. So now, wherever I put one of the, wherever I put one of these dots like that, we'll spawn a fairy. Okay, we'll come and do Lego in a bit. No. I'm almost done stream. I just want to place these creatures. Cool. I'm gonna help moderate out very soon. We're just gonna place these real quick. Fix this one first. So we had a bunch of them down here at this area, and then we have a bunch of them that are sitting up here. And then, as we recall, there was another group up here where the forest got a little bit light. So there's about 15 spawns for the fairies. So now we save them. It's as simple as that. You just put them in. This is literally designed around the idea that what we're going to do is we're able to just place these tiles at any point and use the place tiles to gen out systems, so that it's very easy and we don't have to worry about like corrupting of scenes or other people working these things. Basically, this was a system that we developed when the previous game we were kind of doing in Unity scene enemy placement, and that ended up being quite challenging. Anyway, so now you come to enemy locations. I think we open our location generator script first. No, I don't think we need to. Yeah, I think all we have to do is add the color. So that hex code we got, there we go, pink hex code will generate a, this should automatically detect that we have a new enemy called Fairy, and it'll create a Fairy location. There we go, it's done. So as you can see, my head's actually behind it, but if I drag it out here, we have this Fairy locations JSON that's been generated. This has the locations of all of the Fairy spawns. The next and kind of final steps are to set it up client side and set it up server side. So we're going to do server side quickly. I just put this scene here and then I'll talk about client side in a second. So for server side, all we have to do is copy the JSONs that we generated and put them on the server. Very easy. What's nice is we can manage that, through a GitHub. So again, we're going to open this. We're going to reveal our Fairy JSON. Going to paste this on number 16, and then we're going to grab our Fairy locations. There we go. Now we have Fairy locations and thing on the server. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we ran the server, we had 298 enemy instances, and now if I run it, fantastic, 312 enemy instances. So that means the Fairies have joined, and to be able to see these client side now, we can open our canvas and we can grab the enemy controller over here, and then all we have to do is grab the Fairy and put it in position 16, and that's it. Now we take a walk and we see if these tricky buggers are in. Can make this big screen. Love the anvils, recently got those in. So we should find a bridge somewhere here. We can cross this bridge and we can carry on down. Go down. Huh, a few of the frogs have actually wandered quite far. That's quite funny. Okay, I think I want to get on this side of the river in order to find the fairies. I absolutely love the white mountains from Burning Burden that you can see in the distance there. So we should start. There we go. As I said, we should start seeing them. They're our first fairies. And hell yeah, they are in fact above the ground. Look at those wings. Wow, loving them. Okay, I'm very happy with the with the flying animation. That is some fairy power. Cool, let's throw a bomb. Oh wow. These things are violent. The the attack came out perfectly though. That is exactly what I wanted. I'm gonna go stand next to this. Just show it off a bit. Wow, very cool. I think that looks exactly like Enchanting Fey Magic would look in a pixel art RPG. So on that positively pink positive note, I think I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all for watching, and if anyone enjoyed the stream, if you follow, it is a great bit of support. And yeah, thanks for the time, thanks for watching, thanks for being there. Beware the fairies, never accept their treats. Cheers, guys.